let's get this meeting started. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everyone. We've gone over the minutes, but neither Joel or myself got here in time to go over the warrant, so we will be doing that after the meeting. So, did anyone have any amendments to the minutes?
No, I thought it looked pretty good. Getting pretty darn good at that.
A little more abbreviated than the beginning, huh?
So I would entertain a motion on the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes for August 13th, 2024 as written.
Second?
All in favor? Alright, let's do that. So the warrant number will be number 22, expenses $140,385.40, checks 15,642 through 15,661, receipts $130,017.95, receipt numbers 214 through 307, and percentage of 2023 real estate taxes collected year to date is at 94%. Does anyone have anything for open session? Perfect. RSU 10 report, Kristen Chapman not present for tonight's meeting. RSU.
I think she said that Norma was gonna
Oh,
I have
cover for her.
what
perfect.
Just says, the next RSU 10 school board meeting will be held at 6:30 on Monday, September 9th at Buckfield Junior Senior High School. Superintendent Alden has stated that the agenda will include discussion initiated by Nazinscott area town officials regarding their request for alternating the location of the annual RSU 10 budget meeting. For anyone who would like to address the board on September 9th, public comments are held at the beginning of the meeting and can be no longer than 3 minutes in duration. If speaking, please remember to sign in when you arrive. Most meetings are recorded and posted on the RSU 10 district website at some point after the meetings, if anyone wishes to view them. The following RSU 10 board meeting to be held in the Nazinscott region will be on November 12th. Discussion will be brought back to the table regarding policy BED, I don't know what that means. Remote participation in school board meetings, where local residents could speak to the debated proposal of the public having Zoom access in addition to addressing the board in person at school board meetings. As the policy currently stands, the public must be physically present to speak before the board or otherwise have the superintendent read their letter aloud to the board. Since 3 out of 4 meetings take place in Rumford, the Nazinscott area residents would have to travel to Mountain Valley High School 75% of the time to publicly address the board. On November 12th, the final board vote will be taken on policy BED. Anybody know what that is?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's basically the policy governing public comment at a board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And basically, when I first came on board, we went round and round with the board because they wanted to essentially put a lot more limitations on the public being able to speak at a school board meeting. So we kind of nipped that in the bud, and then this is an amendment basically that would allow people from the Nazinscott region that couldn't make it all the way to Rumford in time to be able to zoom in. And at first they voted it in, and then they decided, some of the board members decided they wanted to reconsider and strike that from the policy.
Okay.
So if you want to speak to that, by all means, please do.
Yeah, it says on November 12th, the final board vote will be taken on policy of the amendment to approve of the public having remote access to address the board. Past board discussions on this policy item can be viewed on the recording as well as read in the minutes kept for meetings held on June 17th, 2024 and August 5th, 2024. Feel free to reach out to Kristen at kchapman@rsu10.org for further questions.
Perfect, thank you very much. Planning board report.
Alrighty, planning board approved 3 building notifications. One was a replacement deck on Butterfield Road, one was a septic design at Increased Robinson Library, and one was our first additional housing unit on Bear Ridge Road. So I'm gonna bring to the board the notion that we send a letter to the owners, just re-informing them that they will be responsible solely for all the tax increase due to the fact that there's a new house there. And if they do intend to sell at some point, they will be expected to follow the ordinances for minimum lot size, which is 2 acres, so, and all the other associated things with that.
Do you recall who did the design on the one for the library?
I don't recall.
That's okay. I was just curious.
I don't remember either. Fred knew him, and Fred said, it should be fine, so. In fact, he changed it a little bit from the original.
There was a fee schedule submitted to the select board, and one of the things I wanted to bring up with you about that was we did not attach any fees other than those that we previously worked on, just because we felt that we'd let you guys decide whether or not you wanted a fee if somebody is found building something and they haven't ponied up the funds appropriately, if there's going to be any associated fees, and how in the future we would handle that and approach that. So in addition to that, we did not you won't see anything on the Board of Appeals fees if one was decided, and the select board or the planning board is currently working on a safety checklist for new constructions and a shoreland timber harvest check off as well. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Fire department report, Mr. Doug.
Well, I've had several people approach me about covering in parts of Hartford. I have mixed feelings on that. I don't really want to start a war with mutual aid towns, but at the same time, we would have faster response times than most of them. So it's kind of up in the air right now. Joel and his boy finished the grates for us. They were nice. Jesse, you said you'd get rid of the old ones for us?
Yep.
Those are-
What's not to change subject, what's the typical procedure or protocol if you were to start covering some of Hartford? It would be contractual,
we would be the
right?
first one toned out and be under contract, yeah.
It would be under contract.
And if I'm understanding things correctly, that would mean that the town of Hartford or Buckfield, if they were essentially gonna put you guys up on the priority list for getting response, that would mean that they would be in their budget, they would have to be making an allowance for response money there, or how does that, Cam had,
Well, if we're taking a piece of that pie, they're gonna be making less money, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's gonna start World War III with our mutual aid.
because
jobs.
Buckfield-
okay, that
So
would,
it was not in addition to, you're taking part of what they're already budgeted from another department.
Gotcha.
And Cam, from what I understand, Cam really relies on that budget amount to fund his fires. So, I don't think he's in favor of giving that up, so, yeah.
We'll see what happens. Aside from that, everything's going good.
Alright, thanks Doug.
Thank you.
Mr. Corson, roads report.
Yeah, we're chugging right along now on Lower Sumner Hill. We got the road all dug out that we're digging out. And probably, we got a few culverts that we gotta take out and put back in, clean out, and hopefully next week I'm gonna have Cross come in and do the top coat, get it graded and rolled out, and then hopefully next week things look good down there. I recently just picked up my own excavator. It's a small one. And so now I can keep Jeremy on the big road projects, and I'm gonna do the maintenance. Go around and do some cross culverts, driveway culverts, some minor ditching, so I can keep him right on the road projects going. This weekend I went up on Tool Hill, and plow truck driver's been complaining about a bunch of rocks on Tool Hill. So we went and dug them out this weekend, and they were huge. Just unbelievable that they were in the road. So we got them out, fixed the little washout on Tool Hill to 219, put some riprap in there. And now I'm going over across to Arthur Allen Road to dig out some rocks up through there that are hitting the plow trucks. Other than that, things are going pretty good now.
Yeah, it seemed like you caught up that other lane pretty quick on Lower Sumner.
Yes. Yep.
Good deal.
Did that base end up packing up?
Yes.
Good?
Yeah. I think we're all set.
Just needed to just dry out a little bit.
Right. Yep.
ACO report, Brandon Holmes.
Yes. So far in August, I've responded to 22 calls. I've covered 246 miles and was responding on calls for 28 and a half hours. It's been a wide variety of cases this month, including stray or loose animals, surrenders, cruelty to animals, abandonment, injured animals, loose livestock, fight investigations, and animal nuisances. I focused a lot on trying to wrap up some of these ongoing investigations. Tomorrow morning I'm going to be meeting with our area's animal welfare rep. He's going to be responding to a couple of sites with me so I can get some guidance on how to respond to those types of calls. And I'm also continuing to monitor a bite investigation up off of Arthur Allen Road where there was a large dog, long black hair with white markings on its chest, no apparent owner. If anyone knows anything about it, I'd love to hear about it.
Thanks. Thank you, Brandon. Forms, reports, correspondence, signed tax abatement for Wayne Field, map and lot number R04-004.
That should be over right there.
It's this one right here. correct?
Yep.
It's just the top one, right?
Cost two, there was 2 years, 22 and 23.
Yeah, that's school. Still
27. 27.
Next is to sign the letter to RSU 10 school board directors for rotating locations as was talked about in Kristen's report.
I think that one's just Cam's. I don't think that's.
Nothing to Oxford County Budget Committee.
Oh,
Your
that
assessors
was
trust-
just the explanation as to why we're over
Oh,
budget
we
on
were
our
over.
county tax.
Yeah. So there was a
there you go.
there was a clerical error in our county tax, so we were they hit one number keystroke difference, right? So we actually owed an extra $10,850.
This was countywide too. Like, it was just a keystroke error for everybody.
For everyone.
So everybody got another notice that said, by the way, you owe us more money.
So we had to pay that,
Right.
essentially.
So our county tax budget will be over by $5,500.
Okay.
I thought I signed this already.
You did. This is for show. You don't actually even need to do that if you don't want to.
Upcoming events, next road committee meeting is September 19th, 2024 at 6 p.m. First day of school is Tuesday, 9-3, grades K through 7 and 9th. And the first day of school, Wednesday, the 4th, will be grades 8 and 10 through 12.
You skipped a line.
I did?
Yep.
What did I
You
skip?
need to announce that you actually went over my financial
Oh,
statement.
I'm sorry, you're right, I absolutely did, yep. I just, look, I even checked it right off that I said it. Thank you. So I did come in last week and sit down with Diane, go over all the financial statements and
For July.
for July and all the bank statements and everything and how all that stuff is done. So I did review it all, and I'm gonna probably, unless either of these two gentlemen disagree, for the next quarter, I'll probably do the same, just so I can keep my head wrapped around it, so I get trained. If one of you guys wanna go, by all means, I can do it again, or I can come in off time and just do it too, so. So we did that.
Okay, now you can move on.
Now I can move
Did we have an open session? I don't know if
Yes, we
anybody.
did.
on. I did, we didn't have any. Has
Nobody
anyone
wanted
thought
to
of
talk
anything?
about it.
Anyone wanna have an open session?
Sorry. Went right
yeah,
behind me.
Yeah, nobody, everyone's quiet.
Okay.
Alright, notices there are 3 openings on the Board of Appeals, 1 opening on the Planning Board. The town office will be closed Saturday, August 31st, this coming Saturday for Labor Day holiday. Reevaluation notices are being sent to townspeople at the end of August, so that would probably be this week.
Probably.
Residents will have a chance to set up time to meet with Johnny O'Donnell and associates to discuss a new property tax assessment. That will happen sometime in September.
It's the 18th and 19th, but that will be in the letter from O'Donnell and
Okay.
Associates. The meetings will be here, but you'll actually call O'Donnell's to schedule.
To schedule your time. Okay. 30-day lien notices will be maturing, and the certificates will be sent to the Registry of Deeds the week of August 26th. Yesterday. Bottle Drive Scholarship Committee fundraiser tentatively scheduled for Saturday, September 7th. Volunteers will be driving through Sumner to pick up bottle donations. Bottles can be dropped off at the new shed location over by the fire department at any time. Please call the town office for more information. RSU 10 school board meeting on September 9th at 6 p.m.
6:30.
Sorry, see, I wanted to do 6. At the Buckfield Junior Senior High School cafeteria. Agenda will include discussion of whether the RSU 10 budget meeting can be held in an alternate location. Alternating fashion, as we've discussed, and not exclusively at the Mountain Valley High School. So, we said last meeting that we would have the results from our executive session last meeting. The results were that we needed more information and that we're going to go back and do executive session. So, if anyone doesn't have any questions, comments, concerns, one last chance at open session, we will.
So I'll read the statutes for the executive session. So, first piece of executive session will be pursuant to 36 MRS section 841E, which is a discussion about abatements. And the next part will be 1 MRS, a subsection 4056E, which is consultations about legal matters. So,
That also come in the form of a motion?
so we do need to motion to go into executive session, but before we do, is there anything we can tell the town at this point,
From
other than?
my meeting this morning? Is that what you're referring to, or?
Yeah, or we could just basically say what's essentially been in the news article, if people haven't heard, I guess.
So in regards to, I met with the DA this morning in regards to the Stewart's case. And so essentially what has happened is, I believe it was Bob's disposition. When that was taking place, Kelly had already had her disposition, and where you plead guilty, not guilty, and it was set to go to trial. So I believe they were at Bob's, and basically they deferred that and pushed it back to sometime later in September. Most likely, it depends on, so they did that for a couple of reasons. One is they're likely going to change their plea to guilty. So that's been out there on Facebook news for a while, since last week. But they're likely to plead guilty. So there's a couple of scenarios that could happen. That's all going to be pushed back, and we will have that date. And if they do decide to plead guilty, how the whole thing works is we'll know the date of the actual sentencing prior to, and anyone's more than welcome to pack the courtroom. That doesn't mean you'll get to speak. There might be one or two people from the town that are able to speak before the judge passes sentencing. So even though the DA makes a plea deal and the defense accepts it, or however back and forth they make their plea deal, the judge can still override it and overrule it. They might think it's too harsh. They might think it's not harsh enough. So that's what will happen on that day. So if you haven't written a letter to the district attorney's office, you're more than welcome to. They do have some, but all the ones that are written, if you feel so inclined to do so, the judge will read them and take those into consideration in her sentencing. So the two options that were explained to me, or how this would normally proceed, is say, and this isn't, I'm not saying this is what they're going to plead or what the case is going to be or anything. This is just the two options that typically would happen in this circumstance. That is, they would plead guilty to Class D misdemeanors and restitution. That would be on their record for life, essentially. They would be, they would have a criminal record at that point. The other option, or the other scenario, would be that they plead guilty to felonies with restitution. The caveat to that would be that typically first-time offenders, these types of cases, etc., where they're not career criminals, they don't have long criminal history, etc., that they would only be felons if they would plead guilty to a felony, or could plead guilty to a felony, and they would have restitution, and then after 1 calendar year from that point, that the felony would be removed from their record. And they wouldn't have any criminal record whatsoever. However, if they broke any new or any additional laws in that 1 year time frame, there's no trial, there's no nothing, they're now convicted felons for.
Is that what's called a deferment?
It is. It's called a deferred, I think it's called a deferred disposition.
Deferred disposition.
So they essentially would have to toe the line for a year, essentially, and not get a DUI, not get an assault, not get a felony, anything, or any crime whatsoever, basically. If they did, that Class C felony would stick. And there wouldn't be, go back to the plea deals, there wouldn't be no. So those are the two options that were presented to me to be most likely to happen.
Sounds like it's no more than a slap on the hand.
Yeah, like,
They'll be bent over and spanked good.
yeah, so that's most likely what'll end up taking place, one of those two scenarios, is my understanding. But like I said, the judge could change their, make them go back to the drawing board essentially. She could, hear it, read all this, read all the letters, hear from a person or two in town, and decide that it's too harsh, not harsh enough, go back to the drawing board as far as the DA and the attorney. So that's where that's at. We will be notified as to when that court date is gonna happen. So,
if they end up not taking any of the plea deals in this scenario, and then could it still go to trial?
yeah,
And
it
then
still
if
could, and the
they're-
judge could say that I throw it all out and it's gonna go to trial, yeah.
And then if they're found guilty in trial, then they lose that deferment?
Correct. Whatever they're found guilty by a jury of their peers
Right.
would be how
So
they're-
that is
how they're-
another scenario that could play out.
It is, yeah. So the obviously they have a huge caseload. It's only gotten worse as far as I don't want to make light of our situation, but what is an actual they got rapes and murders and real serious drug problems. Not just people that are on drugs, but like people moving. Could kill 30, 40 people, hundreds of people's worth of drugs into this area. So they've got a different caseload. I was able to sit on the grand jury a couple of years ago, and it's not in a good way, but it's quite impressive to what they actually even catch here. So as far as the range of crimes and criminal activity that's going on, even though it's huge for our town, and I'm not making excuses for anybody, on that scale it's not like, capital murder and all those other things. So yeah, that was my morning at the DA's office. Are there any other questions, comments?
I have a question for Jeff. And I can ask you this later if you want, but I was just wondering how you guys journey around to talk with the cannabis people about the ordinance, how that went.
I would have to defer to the
That's
town office.
fine.
Okay.
So I got in touch because I was concerned about the word adult in our marijuana cultivation, because none of the people that the state supplied us with as far as a list are adult cultivators, they're medical caregivers. So according to that from MMA Legal, these people don't fall into any category as far as adult marijuana cultivation, so I guess that's another ordinance to work on.
Alright.
We were hopeful, and I was curious, and I said, that word adult just scares me, I don't wanna get into trouble, so I got in touch
Right,
with them.
yeah.
Yep.
That's what they said.
Well, it may be, at some point, as far as the town's concerned, and this became a ordinance with the idea that in what was presented by the growers was that this would be a source of revenue for the town, should the town vote for that.
Right.
So I think
That's
maybe,
what we were hoping.
yeah, we can.
They were more aware of the legalese of
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
situation.
say,
I'm sure, well, I believe that one of them was a state advocate, so.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that answers my question for now, thank you. All right, anything else?
Any further questions?
You just need a motion.
Okay.
I would make a motion that we move into executive session.
I second it. All in favor?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Alright, so
Okay,
we're coming out of executive session at 7:30.
I would motion that we come out of executive session.
I second.
All in favor?
7:30. Okay. So, I would motion that we accept the abatement applications for case numbers 2024-0801 and 2024-0802, pending they agree to participate in the payment program that we discussed.
I make a motion that we accept that.
Seconded?
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Is that all that? What? That's it, right?
That's it.
Alright.
I motion that we adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?